Kabam. All right. So now here's the. For once, we're gonna do something that people are actually talking about. So everyone's losing their goddamn minds over this Netflix movie called Mignons in its native language, being from France, or as English translated is Cuties. And in case you're out of the loop, it's basically this video. It's this movie, not a TV show like Toddlers and Tiaras, which got a whole lot more flack, deservedly so. This is it's about a movie of this 11-year-old girl who lives with a conservative Muslim family in France. You know, the new major demographic in Europe as we speak. And apparently, her family's really upset at this 11-year-old girl for joining a dance team, which is obviously haram, as you can see in this cover art. And people are going nuts because of how this is somehow promoting child pornography. So, but before we get started, I just want to show you something. Now, at first I thought the exact same thing. Like, wow, if 2020 couldn't get low enough, now the left is pushing this shit. And I first thought that like it was okay. It's just like, okay, remember Toddlers and Tiaras? A lot of people criticize them, but I guess it's okay to sexualize children as long as women are behind it. As long as women are holding the camera and running the show. But upon further investigation, I think there's some really poor execution of movie production here because you look at the okay, you take a look at the French. Okay, let's see, Cuties French versus American release cover. Okay, so you look at the cover image for the French release, which is on the left, and the American release, which is on the right. There's like they look like totally different movies, right? So on the right, it's like, okay, well, we have like preteen girls that are fucking twerking, like Nicki Minaj. That's really gonna raise eyebrows. And on the left, you just have like, just just preteen girls just doing preteen girl shit, dressing like adults and screwing around, having fun. So,
Why does the one on the right look at like an awful Photoshop?
well, I
Like,
mean, I don't know. I don't know. First of all, I don't know why they're using different cover art or banner art or whatever the fuck it's called for the American release versus the French release. And second, I don't know why the fuck the American production, like the overseas production team for the of this film company, whichever film company made this movie, chose to do this and totally didn't think that it's going to cause a lot of problems upon release. And honestly, at least from the trailer, I think there's only like okay from what I grasped from the story, as depicted by the trailer, the the French title picture is much more the French title, like what do you call this, a flyer? I'm giving it a new name every time I call it out. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, this flyer, the French flyer is much more representative of the story. And I guess the American release is supposed to like catch your attention more, which I'm sure it has. And there is this thing in business known as there's no such thing as bad publicity. So apparently that's what's helping to roll in the it's free marketing. If your if your shit is controversial enough, it gets eyes, it gets critics, therefore sales. But that's starting to backfire because I heard Netflix rolled back on it. So, uh, you there?
yeah.
Okay, just checking. So yeah, so maybe Netflix came up with it. Like this random nobody on Twitter is accusing Netflix of making the American poster. But I don't know. Stark contrast here. So the other thing is that this could be like an actual like it could be a so like movies. There's like all kinds of posters, all kinds of flyers, all kinds of like promos, And this is just one shot from the movie. And this is another shot from the movie. So I don't doubt that there's like a scene where these girls start dancing and it gets all fucking weird and nasty. But yeah, I don't think there's any ill intent here, really. It's not like Toddlers and Tiaras where you have like these Karens entirely for their own pleasure, just bossing around these prepubescent girls to dance around and like I mean they weren't twerking like the girls in Cuties are, but and I remember in Toddlers and Tiaras it was way worse, honestly. They were the kids were like, I know I don't want to do this, I'm fucking tired of this, and they're making Honey Boo Boo like drink this mix of fucking Mountain Dew and Red Bull or something, and they called it go-go juice, and she was just amped up on caffeine. Like, first of all, Eleven's a little young to be drinking caffeine, but oh well,
Hey,
whatever.
hey, you're never too young to have heart problems in America.
Oh well. Well, the thing is with Honey Boo Boo, like she's just so fucking fat. I'm sure it's not the caffeine that gives her
She
heart
lost
problems
all
at
her
that
weight.
point.
She's like, apparently she's attractive now. Look at pull up a picture of Honey Boo Boo.
I don't want to honestly. Okay, all right. I don't want to, but I'm doing it just for the show. Boo Boo 2020. You better not fucking disappoint me. She better be half decent looking. Nope, she's still fat.
Hmm.
Her mom lost weight, but then I heard
Yeah,
she
her
gained it
mom
back
lost
too.
weight. I thought she lost weight.
Well,
That's not 2020,
yeah.
is it? Oh, maybe.
Oh well. It's fucking sad all around just to see kids
Is
like
it?
this. But you know, yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there. I'm surprised nobody mentioned toddlers and tiaras because honestly, that I think that's way worse in terms of like exploiting children. Um, and on the other hand, before we get dive any further into it, so I just want to drop this out. Kids love attention. And I remember when I was playing those stupid ass musicals when I was in the like elementary school music class. I fucking hated what I was doing. But I loved going on stage and just like doing stupid shit and I was basking in the attention. So we're not concerned about what happened to these kids in the short term. The issue is that a lot of child stars tend to either they at the best in the best case they just flatline when they turn into adults. In the worst case, it just like backfires on them, and then it has some really unforeseen consequences down the road
How
as
many
they age.
hoes are gonna arise from kids going through this?
Hose?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, first
I
of all,
know
if
I
she
know most of the
breathed
cheerleaders like turned into just complete assholes.
and they all got fat, they
Like
became
they're
all fat
all
single
like,
moms. Yeah,
well, one of them became a fat single mom, but like they were like not good people to talk to. They were
yeah,
fucking.
because that's all they were. All they were was the social ranking and their looks, and you take those away, there's nothing left. And let's just hope that's not what happens to these young women as they age. But considering the times and the fact that if she breathed, she had thought, it's kind of what's expected, and that's the tragedy of it all. But anyway, let's see what other what other upsetting thoughts will pop up as we read this. Okay, Netflix Cuties TVMA rating sparks outrage and petition. Oh yeah,
They got an
oh yeah,
MA rating
yeah. That's what fucking puzzles me. Like
for what? Language?
I don't know why. Okay. I think I have a crazy theory. I think it's just some kind of troll. Somebody who some guy in some guy or girl in the production team had a real stick up their ass about the director or the project manager, and then that person was like, "Hey, I'm gonna fucking show him," and then said person just cracked into like some kind of computer registry and made the
I
Netflix
like how it
release.
says coming of age at the bottom for an 11-year-old. Coming of age for Mexican culture is like 15 or 16 for a woman.
Well, yeah, that's like puberty, and these girls are like barely starting it. So it's yeah, this is just there's obviously it goes without saying there's tons of red flags around this whole fucking movie, but the TVMA I think it's a troll. I think somebody sabotaging it.
So are they gonna release it? Are they gonna go
There
through with
okay,
it?
there's a Netflix trailer on YouTube, and that's all I know about the plot. Is I just watched the trailer real quick, just to see if there's anything that people are missing, and people are missing a lot. Am I in defense of this movie? Not really, but we gotta we've I
Well, we need
want
to
to put
find
the
out why
people.
it's MA.
Oh,
Like, what kind of shit are we gonna be seeing?
I don't know. I don't know. Okay. One more thing before we start reading. We need to fucking hurry up in this article. God damn it. It's just the only thing I disagree with in terms of the way people are reacting to this is that they're just reacting entirely surface level. They just see like, oh, here's a poster. Here's some fucking preteen girls dressed up in freaking dressed up in a really disgusting and sexualizing way. Oh my god, let's boycott the whole fucking movie. Well, this poster is a total failure, but I don't think that's the filmmaker's intent. Again, it's not like Toddlers and Tiaras. This is a bit different. But anyway, like there's actually a story behind it. It's not just about fucking ogling underage girls like like fucking Toddlers and Tiaras. Anyway, the phrase TVMA is trending on Twitter on August 19 after Netflix reviewers discovered that an upcoming movie called Cuties about an 11-year-old has a TVMA rating. Now, some viewers are expressing outrage and have started a petition to try to get their movie removed. Netflix has officially apologized for the movie poster. Here's what you need to know. Cuties is a French coming-of-age movie about an 11-year-old. Cuties is described a coming-of-age French comedy and drama movie. The French title is Mignons. The movie's IMDb synopsis read Amy, an 11-year-old girl, joins a group of dancers named the Cuties at school and rapidly grows aware of her burgeoning femininity, upsetting her mother and her values in the process.
What?
Now, I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to mean. Like, I remember hearing that there's like femininity and womanhood, and then you drop this picture here, this fucking thing here, and you already have all the suspicions lined up, and then there's no other way that people can interpret this as like sexual maturity or something. Like even in kids shows, like there's this show like remember Hey Arnold,
Uh,
like the
yeah.
I don't remember what that chick's name. There's this girl who like hates Arnold's guts. At least that's what it seems like. But then in her diary, apparently she writes like, "Oh, Arnold makes my womanhood tremble," and it's just very overtly sexual. But
Oh
since
yeah.
it's like they're just like okay, and if that upsets you, well, wait till you see all the adult jokes in SpongeBob that you didn't get whenever you were first watching it as a child.
Yeah. Don't drop the soap.
Yeah,
SpongeBob said that.
yeah.
And he stared at
And
Gary and fucking winked.
so, okay, if I were the film company, I would have fucking started suing Netflix for putting this picture on here because obviously, okay, if that's how we're gonna do it, we're gonna have like adult themes hidden in a kid-friendly movie like
So
SpongeBob and Hey Arnold. That would
why
have
are
been that
these
would have been
kids wearing
fine.
their underwear over their clothing? Like
There's
most
they're
of them are wearing bras or
they're kids.
panties over
That's what
their
kids
fucking
do. They
shit.
always okay. Little boys will dress up as army soldiers for Halloween. Little girls will like hold baby dolls and act like their moms and put on bras because that's what kids do. And for the most part, I'm fine with that. Let them do whatever the fuck they want. If they want to do like gymnastics and wear this shit, okay, great. Have fun, kiddos. But I guess filming is where it really becomes an issue. Like if you put them on video and then turn
How
around and
up
like
close was the camera crew getting?
you're asking all the right questions here, aren't you?
Yeah,
You
yeah. I'm
seem
asking all the questions that the pedophiles are going to be asking, man.
oh my god.
And
Say
women can
goodbye.
be pedophiles too. So
Okay, well, see, okay, back to toddlers and tiaras again. Okay, I don't think the okay the what I think is going on in the directors and producers of toddlers and tiaras, like they're all middle-aged white women. For some reason, it's just that demographic. There's a disappointing lack of diversity in the directors of toddlers and tiaras. But I don't think it's sexual. I think it's more about control, dominance, and like a false sense of leadership. if you know anything about that show, and I don't, I haven't watched much of it. I just saw clips here and there,
I hadn't
and
watched any of it.
it's like a lot of it's like fucking screaming. Like remember when you were like a really little kid, and whenever your female teacher gets mad, the whole classroom goes silent, and whenever teacher starts screaming, everybody shuts up. It's it's dominance, and doing it to your own kid is like one thing. That's how you gotta. You're a parent. You gotta have authority over your children because you're responsible for them. But when it comes to like coaching about competition of, of again prepubescent girls dressing like adults and just short of shaking their asses, like they're literally. I remember hearing that there was like a scene where these girls are twerking, which is like, okay, yeah, that raises some eyebrows. I'm not. I wouldn't be cool with that if I were if I were working for this film company.
YouTube had a
But
pedophile ring going on for a little while,
well, yeah,
and
that's just the. I mean, those are rumors as far as I understand. But and what it was just like, you know, here's the thing. Okay, I'm really split in this. Legally speaking, I'm in defense of this movie because when you start restricting someone for like, oh, this promotes child sexuality, then there's going to be a new rule where literally anything that is slightly reminiscent of young women being sexualized, even if they're above 18, because remember, if a girl doesn't show their ID, sometimes you get sent to jail, even though she's lying about her age. Like, and also think of the chill-ins as a very common strategy that the government used to get you in prison for bullshit. Like, what was it? What was it? Some kind of net privacy thing. So, oh yeah, it's called the CARE Act. The United States Congress tried. They're writing up this bill called the CARE Act. They're basically banning VPNs, banning encryption, banning all forms of privacy to hide your, I don't know, hide your fucking furry porn from the government or whatever. Any type of encryption, any type of net privacy, the government will know everything. And if you don't agree with it, then apparently you're under grounds of suspicion for possession of child pornography, even though you just want to use a fucking VPN because you want to watch a movie on fucking, I don't know, like a Tubi stream tube that's not available in the U.S. because of some convoluted copyright bullshit, which is also the fault of the government. So that's the only concern I have with this. And people are going to interpret that as like, oh, you like, you're a pedo, you're like child porn because you're against the government having complete and utter access of everything you do on the internet. And yeah, so we have half of the Karens who are like, oh my God, this is outrageous. We're sexualizing children. And the other half is like, oh, if you sexualize children, then you're part of the problem. Vote for the CARE Act. Nobody deserves internet privacy because there's too many pedophiles around there. Well,
it smells like communism.
yeah, it's just it's a
Why does
Trojan
everything go
horse.
back? Why does everything go back to communism? Everything.
I don't know. If money makes a world go round, then communism wants to steal it. No, if money makes the world go round, then communism wants the Earth to stop rotating. So that's as far. Everything kind of does in one way or another. But maybe we're biased. I don't know. But I don't. I don't see what's so political about this. There's some huge feminist undertones in this movie, and I mean, if that's what you want to make your movie about, and if it sells, then I can't talk shit because money talks and bullshit walks. But I'm just thinking, just such poor execution. And the fact that people are stupid and some dumbass decided to put this as part of the Netflix thumbnail. If it were for this, I think this movie would have been fine. Nobody would have canceled it. No, the film company would have actually like been able to get their movie across. But yeah, thanks to one fuck up, and this whole thing comes crashing down, and everyone's boycotting it. So I mean, I'm not saying I feel bad for the film company. I mean, this just especially whenever it's like, even if it's just one scene with these little girls. twerking, I'm like, yeah, I'm not cool. I'm not really too cool with that. But I'm more concerned about how like the consequences of this later on. And if people are willing to cancel this movie because of one very, very, very poorly designed thumbnail, I don't know what else could get canceled because we're already dealing with censorship to begin with.
That thumbnail was not an accident. We live in 2020. Are you kidding me? So
Well,
Netflix probably has a team for every single country, or at least like the biggest countries, and like design and language and like filming and I don't know. You're telling me that they hired fucking the biggest, fattest, creepiest dude to make the thumbnail?
I'm pretty sure a woman did it. I'm pretty sure the whole fucking film, like the film crew, is just mostly women because feminism. It's about this young, well, surprisingly, gas Islamophobic, but it's about a young girl just on the cusp of teenagerhood rebelling against her conservative Muslim family culture. And I think they like if all you had to do is just make that like the central like this the whole
Do we get
shtick
to
of
the
the
part
movie.
where the Muslims are invading Europe and like killing its population?
Well, they're not actually. You know what? They're destroying Europe by simply having kids and outbreeding the white Europeans. They're not, the violence is like honestly, I think U.S. gang violence is statistically more significant than even adjusted per capita. U.S. gang violence is a much bigger problem than like the Muslim violence in Europe. For the most part,
Yeah, just
the
wait till we get to the different Muslim groups being big enough where they start fighting each other in
well,
Europe.
well, that's already happening. So, especially in France,
I'm
there's
talking about
150
on like an
million.
Al Qaeda level. Like,
No, they can't organize them. So they'll start infighting before that. But the whole problem is that they're gonna have kids. The stunning and brave, empowered French women aren't, and that's how Europe is going to slowly disappear. And I used to be really mad about it, but now I just think, you know what? If you're gonna let someone, if you're gonna let a bunch of illiterate people overrun you, and not even put up a single fight, not even this Cold War. You're not even gonna fight in a Cold War with them, just purely by population numbers, and you die out because of it. You deserve it. It's fucking sad because Europe's cool, but if they're just gonna let themselves die, then you know what?
what's Germany's
Nothing we
rule?
missed.
Isn't Germany conservative?
It's for the most part it's the same. Germany has more refugees, but not per capita. Sweden has the highest per capita, but Sweden's only like 7 million people, and Germany's 81 million people. So raw numbers, yes, Germany has the most refugees, but they also have the most land to try and distribute it. Germany's
Well,
politically speaking, Germany is in a similar situation with the U.S. So it's pretty much one party rule essentially with the left, but they have something called the Christian Democratic Union. Like, okay, so in Europe, almost every single European country has like 10 to 12 political parties, but they all have each. But within these 10 to 12 parties, there's like clusters of 3 or 4 that have enough in common that they start to form a coalition. So the CDU, I think, is a coalition of several center-left parties, quote unquote, in Germany, and they basically have an iron rule over the country. Antifa started in Germany just after World War II, I think, and they've been basically mostly dormant until just a couple years ago. And it's kind of a similar thing going on in Germany. The right, the alternative party, is like the far right party that's going straight up toe to toe with basically everybody in Germany, and they got somewhere last year, but now they're just yeah they're backing off. They're getting their assholes cleaned out by Antifa. Their politicians are like either giving in or getting like raided or getting doxxed, and it's fucking sad. But I don't know.
they gotta fight fire with fire, you know. But I guess they don't have the numbers to do it.
Well, here's the other problem. If Germany starts to pick up like a nationalist uprising, what is the first thing that comes to mind whenever you say Germany and nationalist?
Bring up the picture of Hitler real slowly
Yeah, just like fade it in transition. I don't know how to use
with
OBS
with the
good enough to do
fucking
that.
some German music in the background, and then it just fades to like the army marching.
Oh my god, yeah. So that's the problem. So the second that the Germans try to defend themselves, America and the UN is going to jump right down their throats faster than like a a dildo lubricated in like superfluid Teflon, and they're just going to get squashed immediately. And yeah, I kid you not, it's literally because of America. As much as I hate to say it, when the U.S. dollar inflates and America starts to balkanize, maybe Europe can mobilize really quickly like they did in World War II. Because Europe can get their shit ready really quickly because of how small they are in terms of military investment. And I think that once the U.S. collapses, if that's an overnight thing, the white nationalists are going to have a heyday, and we're probably going to see something close to like the NSDAP coming back, for good or for better or for worse.
Honestly, for better, we need to clean out some of this fucking, just some of this weakness that we have in our country. Honestly, in my opinion, people are too
Yeah.
soft. People are too soft. Everything's either like oh that's too far, or that's too much. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
Like you can't speak the truth. That's offensive.
we'll
Freedom of
see.
speech is hate.
I think
You know,
that
silence is hate. You know, fucking.
well, yeah, and similar thing is going on in Europe. Most people don't really seem to have an opinion, and it's just the same. I really thought it was different because it's Europe and because these people have more of a collectivistic sense of identity. But all the nationalism, all anyone with a fucking spine is hiding from the U.S. government, because the second they pop their heads up, they're gonna get prosecuted as like racist, like South Africa. Apartheid was taken apart by America, by NATO, by the UN. It was worldwide denounced by the worldwide community as like a racist thing, even though it was just fucking the white minority trying to fucking save themselves from being killed by the black majority in South Africa. So the second you stand up for yourself as to just save like your own family, if your whole family is white, sticking up for them is white supremacy now, as proven by the riots of recent. And the same thing is going on in Europe, and it's because of America. I'm kind of letting my hopes down on it because the Muslims are having too many kids way too fast, and by the time the U.S. dollar pops, they'll be out. The white nationalists in Europe will be outnumbered, unless they can okay. Here's the caveat though. Unless they establish some very very stringent authority like the Nazis did. The Nazis, like most of the German people you see nowadays. No. Let's use a better example. Remember the picture of like there's like this whole Nazi parade and everyone's like hailing Hitler, but there's just one guy sticking out. He's like, nope, I'm not doing that. Mm-hmm. Just think about it. If Nazism is so evil, and I'm not here to defend white nationalism, and I'm racism. I think welfare is a bigger problem than racism. But think about it. If Nazism is so evil, then what does that say about the majority of the people who went along with the NSDAP? Were they all just victims, or did they willingly choose this ideology as a large group of people who could have stopped it? Because, the people,
The way I look at it, back when I was in school, my history teacher said, "Are you proud of your country?" When someone asked why were so many people in Germany just with the Nazi Party, and he was like, "Well, aren't you proud of your country?" She's like, "Yeah, but aren't you proud of your country? Stand up for the flag." Like.
And you can smell the molten, you can smell the melting solder, and the fans go.
Yeah, there was a woman who, a girl was asked. It was sixth grade at the time, but yeah, it was a girl that had asked that. And yeah, the solder was melting, and I fully understood what he meant, but she just couldn't grasp it. Not saying that she was dumb or anything, but.
Well, if she's the one asking, like, well, why did a bunch of people, stand up for Nazism? And honestly, even if she's dumb and XX chromosomes, that's what tends to happen. But what she's saying is a very cogent point. If the majority of people are willing to go with the Nazi agenda simply because that's what the authority says so, then that just makes you think: why are you following along? Why does the group? What is moving the group? What is the prod moving the herd in a one direction? What is the wolf chasing the herd of sheep to go off the cliff or whatever? All it is just people are sheep. I know that's cliche at this point, but it's to the point where whoever might makes right. And well, I know we're going on a huge tangent compared to what this video is supposed to be about, but the reason why Hitler rose to power is because Germany was in shambles after World War One. The Weimar Republic was like, simply put, the Weimar currency was in the trillions just to buy a piece of bread. And yeah, inflation's really bad, and inflation is how people like
It was
Hitler rise to
better to
power.
burn the money and use it to keep you warm than it was to fucking use it for
Yeah,
anything else.
you
But the
go to
main reason why, yeah, back on that. But the main reason why is we didn't help rebuild Germany after World War One, and everyone put the blame on Germany for World War One when it wasn't their fault.
well, Germany's the biggest country, so whenever something bad happens, it's statistically speaking more likely to be at the hands of a German. The other thing is, where is it going? The other thing is that whenever it's the country's in chaos, the currency's hyperinflated to the point where you get robbed. Whenever you get robbed, you roll in with like a wheelbarrow of 1 trillion Reichmarks. The robber will dump the money out, run off with the wheelbarrow because it's so worthless. Whenever you're in that kind of situation, people want order. And in the United States, you see the same thing. Whenever there's like chaos, the votes definitely go. They at least nudge a little bit right. And that's why I think Trump's quite likely to win this election, given that mail-in voting isn't a thing. But people want stability in a chaotic situation, and people want to pursue morals whenever stability has been achieved. So whenever, okay, so 1939 or post Weimar Germany was absolutely a pile of rubble. People wanted order, and here's something else a lot of us forget. Jews didn't have they were stateless people back then, and they were kind of seen as like petty thieves and little small scale fraudsters, con men. They were placed in the same places like gypsies and Uyghurs. Nobody liked them, and they were all the scapegoat. And Hitler decided like, we should take that a level further. Why do we build a whole national agenda over this our favorite scapegoat? Ah, das ist brilliant. And that's how the Nazi Party rose to
Nazi
power.
Germany would still be around, or at least it would have lasted longer if Hitler would have listened to his advisors and his generals.
Also, if you would let it, like, I don't know, like the German national free market take over, like part of the reason is, and here's another tangent, it's because of poor financial management. But at the same time, it's just, I don't know, everyone had genocide. It's when you think about it, the whole point of this whole tangent is that the average person went along with the Nazi Party, and then after the war, they just suddenly took off the mask and they're not Nazis anymore. And that's just the, I don't know. I think that's the whole problem. That's the whole problem why we're dealing with all this like far left social justice shit in the West and today is because the average person is just a chameleon sheep. They don't think. They just see what's going on around them. They adapt. And if one person does this, who cares? But when millions of people are doing it, that's how Hitler gets things done. It's because he was able to seize an opportunity and manipulate these chameleon sheep people. And yeah, and that's the same reason why this movie is getting a lot of flack, even if that they didn't have any intentions of like attracting a bunch of pedos or whatever. So one person looks at this, they see the American cover, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's toddlers and tiaras, but even more sexual." And then people hop on the bandwagon, and then that's how this movie gets plowed into the ground. But as a filmmaker, you should have known this, and you should have made it clear, hey, let's use this cover for whenever we put our shit on Netflix, and not this one. And yeah, and then people, and if that happened, people would just glance over that one scene where these kids were twerking, and then the film would have been fine. maybe someone would have like started an outrage mob maybe like a couple years down the road and say, "Hey, remember that scene whenever these girls were freaking? Oh my god, let's cancel it." So, and again, I don't really care about this movie. I'm not interested in watching it. I'm not into underage
Uh,
girls in case you haven't figured out, but
Plus,
my
we don't
concern
support
is,
feminism.
oh yeah, feminism is cancer too. I'm just
Feminism is
concerned about
cancer.
I'm just concerned about this becoming like a way for the right to start censoring too. Because this is something that some okay, like the left is like they're kind of like sort of split. Some of them are like, "Oh my god, it's so empowering. What's your problem with like young women being stunning and brave?" And the other half of the left is like, "The chillins, we gotta protect the chillins." Even though they're voting like a bunch of refugees to abduct and rape the girls of this age in Europe as we speak, you know, let's just totally glance over that. But here's the problem: we have the conservative right, the traditional right, being like, "Oh my god, the chillins," and the libertarian right's like, "I don't give a shit." So now we have part of the left and part of the right considering censorship of this movie. And even if this movie, like this movie's probably trash. Again, I'm not interested. I'm concerned about all the other movies down the line. Now there's like, okay, now maybe there's like like a recreation of some story about like a I don't know, like a girl fleeing Soviet Russia, and there's like some scenes where like some creeps were like hitting on her because it's part of a true story. Now that's gonna get censored too because it's the chillins. So we're gonna throw like that's what I think is gonna go on. Like we're throwing away history in the past, like fucking Christopher Columbus or whatever. We're censoring him or we're trying to cancel him because he's racist, even though that's part of history and we should all learn from it.
Christopher
Now,
Columbus wasn't racist
I mean, he came
at
and he saw and
all.
he conquered. And some of
Okay,
the
well,
things he did is
no,
questionable.
that's I know,
Well,
but
Christopher Columbus is just a placeholder. You can replace him with any European
Christopher
colonist.
Columbus showed up, but he wasn't the one who came in and conquered the entire land. That happened over centuries of time. It
Well,
wasn't until
okay then.
the late 1800s where we finally could say, yeah, we've taken over all of the northern North America. And he landed in what, the 1400s?
Okay, well, just like okay, again, Christopher Columbus is just a placeholder. You can put literally any colonial person or figure or group in lieu of Christopher Columbus. You get what I'm saying. There's
Hmm.
some things that are questionable that they've done, but the thing is, if it weren't for them, this country would have, well, not just this country, like any South America and the Americas would all be just like farmland with indigenous people just roaming and like I don't know, fucking boiling buffalo soup with buffalo stomachs or whatever. Oh, oh, or using slaves to grow sugar cane. Black people or really dark people in Brazil using African slaves to grow sugar cane because remember slavery is bad, was it?
You want to talk about slavery? If you were a slave down there, they didn't even feed you. It was actually cheaper for them to just buy another slave than it was to feed, house, and clothe them.
Yeah, it really made American slavery look a lot less atrocious. But yeah. Anyways, we're going on so many tangents, but nevertheless, it's good content. Um,
We're almost
let's
at 40 minutes.
yeah, let's just hit the. That's probably gonna get us demonetized because people are fucking stupid. And they won't watch the whole video. But let's talk about these last few paragraphs anyway. For the people who do have the brain cells to watch the whole fucking video and try to figure out what exactly we're saying. The movie is directed by Maimouna Doucouré and stars Fatia Yusuf as Amy. You know, check out this diversity here. And honestly, it's actually like more accurate this way because, as you know, there's less and less non-ethnically diverse kids in Europe, and more ethnically diverse kids in Europe as we speak. But Amy, this character Amy's family, they all speak decent French, and they don't seem to be like trying to change French culture. So I guess it's all right. You know, I don't care what color people are. Cultural homogeneity is what you need. So just want to make that clear. Anyway, according to a review in the Hollywood Reporter, this movie is about a child stepping away from her traditional Senegalese family and trying to fit in by, quote, joining a posse of precariously sexualized dancers. The plot of this movie revolves around Amy moving with her mom and younger brothers to a new apartment and learning that her dad is returning from Senegal with a second wife. Oh no, the Hollywood Reporter explained. Her mom is trying to accept the situation. The review notes that the movie is establishes its critical view of a culture that steers impressionable young girls towards the hypersexualization of their bodies. What? Oh, okay. Oh, Jesus. Screen Daily noted that the movie is explicitly designed to shock mature audiences into contemplation of today's destruction of innocence. The movie premiered at Sundance and will be released by Netflix on September 9th. There's
Why not on
petitions.
September 11th?
That's a double whammy. Fuck. Oh man, I don't think we're ready for that. But then again, if COVID causes people to fucking cancel any 9/11 ceremonies, then I guess fuck it. We're not ready for anything, so we should do it anyways.
Fucking, I don't know.
It's 2020.
The
If it isn't stupid, it's
Muslims actively, okay, so religion of peace, my ass. They're out there to go to their heaven, and the only way to get to their heaven is if they go and
go.
kill a bunch of other people. Like
Oh
they
well.
convince.
Okay, here's the thing. Just like Christians, there's many different denominations. There's great diversity of levels of adherence to the words of the Quran. On one end of the spectrum, you have ISIS, who would literally go, oh, boom, and kill everybody. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have people who just like say they're Muslim and then go they bonk their head on the floor 7 times a day, and that's about it. And then they drink beer and eat bacon when no one's looking.
Yeah, this is going to be
So,
the longest video that we've made yet.
but there's so much
But
good shit in there, man. At first, you were like,
so
you were pushing me to do it. Now I'm like dragging on to like almost an hour. But I don't know.
so my
Let's keep going.
mom, I got a little side story for you.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So my mother is an English as a second language teacher. I won't say where, but she knows English, Spanish, and Italian, and she knows a little bit of Korean. And one day she was assigned this student from Jordan, I think, and he was well, he's Muslim, and he no one wanted to sit with him. He had a beard or stubble growing. He didn't really have much of a beard. And he always had like that scarf thing that everyone wears now around there. He always had one of those on, and he was very quiet. Like he sat at my lunch table because no one else would sit with him. And my mom she didn't tell me this kind of stuff later, but he was very, very shy. His parents were like awful, but she helped him get a job. She helped him with homework as much as she could. And one day, just out of nowhere, he was just kind of mad. He was upset, and he walked in and said, "I hate Jews," and like, "I love Hitler." He said, "I love Hitler
What the?
because," he said, "I love Hitler because of what he did to the Jews." And then my mom, without saying anything, she printed out a thing explaining to him what Hitler had done to the Jews. Hitler had actually sent some, hit some Muslims to some labor camps, and she put it on his desk, and she Google translated it into his language, and he sat down there and he read it. His face turned red, and he got up and said, "I hate Jews," and left
Oh
the
my
classroom.
god. Oh shit, there's so much to unpack there. Oh
Yeah.
fuck. I totally
So
forgot about that. Holy
my
shit.
mother had, eventually there was a parent teacher conferences, and the parents showed up, and she went to shake the mother's hand and then went to shake the dad's hand. He didn't do it at first. He just kind of stared at my mother, and then reached out for her hand and then shook it. and they thanked her for all the help. I mean, she pretty much got. I think he got him into college. I think my mom helped him get into college. She even after all the the hateful things I guess you could say he said, she still helped him out because she knew that he was just misguided. You know, he was led to think a certain way, and we all are in a sense. But she never gave up
Well,
on him.
that's what I don't get. Okay, so like back, remember there was like when there was Islam is right about women meme going around. How come
They
nobody's
are.
well, depends on what sect of Islam you're talking about. You know, there's Muslim feminists out there. What's her name? Fuck, I can't remember. But yeah, there's that kind of shit. But that aside, everyone's running with the gag. Islam is right about women, but they never said anything about Islam. Islam is right about the Jews, because this would have the exact same effect. And let's say you're an European white nationalist or whatever, and you really got to stick up your ass about Islam. If you can somehow point out to the majority of people that these Muslims are as bad as Nazis because they both hate Jews, and they did work together on a small scale. I mean, Hitler really wanted to team up with the Muslims because they both hate Jews. And if you can point out and somehow make the connection in the average normie dipshit's head that if 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 Hitler doesn't like Jew, Nazis don't like Jew, Muslims don't like Jew, then Muslims are Nazis. That could get somewhere. That would be an experiment worth trying.
Mm.
Then the U.S. government, like the average retard running in the ranks of like the UN or whoever's fuck the news media, probably news media is more powerful than the UN, honestly. If the average dipshit writing like news articles about global military and political conflicts, if they can somehow spin refugees as Nazis, then Europe could use US to get rid of the refugees. And birth rates are still a problem because if Europe runs out of people, then they'll just end up like Japan. But hey, one step at a time. Maybe you might be able to save Europe simply by spreading the meme. Islam is right about the Jews. Just maybe. But then you got to watch out for. Then you got to figure out who are people more afraid of, Nazis or Muslims. You know,
I'm more afraid of Muslims
because okay,
because I would consider myself closer to a Nazi.
let's not get carried away now. Okay, if I were some kind of like you're an infidel hating refugee who wanted to destroy Europe from within, I probably would pick up on that whenever seeing posters that are saying like Islam is right about the Jews as an attempt to get America to come after me. But if America actually comes after me and the country cuts my welfare as a refugee in like France or Denmark or Germany, I would get the fuck out of there. Because I know I wouldn't stand a chance against the American military if they really wanted to come after me for hating Jews as a Muslim. So there's some potential there. But I don't know why I don't see anyone talking about it. I don't see anyone making use of this catch 22. You know, if you like smelling the molten solder coming out of NPCs' heads, just simple. Just say Islam's right about the Jews, and watch it burn. On the other hand, maybe they'll probably just dismiss it like, oh, you're racist because hashtag not all Muslims hate Jews. You know, oh, I have a Muslim friend who loves Jews, and I have a Jewish friend who loves Muslims. You know, let's not forget about the Gaza Strip. But yeah, that's how it usually shakes
Yeah,
out. But
yeah.
I don't
What
know.
about the Muslim? Yeah, not all Muslims are the same either.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
there's lots of different varieties, and there's lots of different varieties of Jews too.
um,
Don't forget about the black Jews that are, I guess, like just straight evil.
the black Jews who hate the non-black Jews who did those shootings in New Jersey at a kosher store that no one is talking about anymore because it doesn't work with the narrative because the black Hebrew Israelites are, You know, they're a protected class apparently, even though they're killing other Jews, and we're just gonna brush that under the rug because we got to get mail-in voting because COVID. So yeah, honestly, yeah, I don't know. I keep tossing the hot potato of blame onto the average person, to the news media, to the UN, and it just goes back and forth. I can't quite make up my mind. I don't know who's the biggest of these three evils. What do you think? You have
The
one
human
bullet.
race.
Well, the human race is what we're trying to save here, but
There's no saving
unfortunately,
it. There's no saving it. No matter what we do, we will find ways to hate ourselves.
well, okay.
And
I'm cool with that as long as you're down with the robot revolution.
we could get rid of religion, but people will just use like feminism as their religion.
Well, social justice isn't a religion. You know,
Yeah.
social justice, actually, you know what? The religious mentality is what's left over. We've killed God. Feminism has killed God by nagging him to death. And what is left? Communism. Because the losers of society need an outlet. And it used to be just like, oh, if I just work hard and my master landlord acknowledges me, maybe I'll go to heaven when I die. And now that's gone too. So what are they going to do? They're just going to start begging for welfare by complaining about racism or feminism or I don't know, like being disabled as a society's against me because I'm XYZ identity. That's the same. It's just it's the same kind of bargaining with reality that the peasants told themselves of the promise of heaven to peasants back in the like Middle Ages Europe. And as usual, the ruling class, you know, back then it was the royalty, but now it's just like the leftist politicians. They're using the same playbook. They're using the same Bible. The Bible is equality. The ruling class is promising this to the average people, and the average people suck it up like, you know, like thirsty kittens upon their mother's teat, just lapping up like filthy Frank eating ass. You know, they just can't get enough of it. And as usual, they're just the same useful idiots as the peasants were to the king back in 1500s England or whatever. It's the same thing going on. We're making the same mistakes. And yeah, the only solution, if there's any solution to it, is robots. You know, these people don't want to work. All they want to do is get money and go home and watch TV and jerk off to fucking Project Melody or whatever. Nothing against Project Melody, by the way. That's some next level shit. And they don't really want to be anything other than just earning just enough to just satisfy their hedonistic needs. And they don't want to have kids. They don't want to have, you know, build an empire or a legacy or and they don't want to work. And they're advocating for robots, by the way. They're the ones pushing for automation so they don't have to work anymore because they're just that lazy. So maybe you're right. Maybe the human race does need to have a
Elon Musk
remodeling.
has preached about how AI is going to replace the human.
No. It's not. First of all, AI without intent, without an emotion or desire, is just a computer, and it would just be an extension of whoever it is that's controlling it. If you give it an emotion or sentience or a desire, or as Nietzsche calls it, a will to power, then it becomes something equivalent to a human. And furthermore, there's going to be people who are bothered by that, and they don't want to let power slip through their fingers to a so-called superhuman AI, if such a thing is possible, which I question. If there is AI more powerful than humans themselves, then those who are concerned about losing power will simply merge with the AI and become cyborgs, not just at a physical level, but also at like a neurological, psychological, mental level. So, yeah, don't worry about the Terminator. There's not going to be any Terminators around. What you should be worried about is like other people who want to use robots against you. And the only way to prepare for that is just to have your own robot army. But that's years down the road, and that has absolutely fuck all to do with this the article that we're reading. So I don't know. Yeah, we'll just touch on it real quick. It's goddamn, it's getting late. So yeah, other people are like taking notice of this. We got a little young Karen here saying like, "Yeah, WTF is this? Why is it rated TVMA? I'm adding Netflix. I'm standing outside." Fuck no, get the fuck out of here. Fucking Twitter. Yeah, again, I think that's deliberate, and that's a troll. My theory. Someone just
Maybe
trying to
there's
get back
just
at it.
maybe it's TVMA because it has Muslims in it.
Like, okay, if it's politically controversial, I don't like. Why would you want to change the rating to like decrease the audience that sees it? Like, either a computer glitch or someone who's trying to sabotage the project from within, from either Netflix or the film company that made Cuties, probably put TVMA on there. That's what I think is going on. Otherwise, it just doesn't like make any sense. Like, why would you rate it TVMA? And it and I'm gonna challenge the stupid assumption. I'm saying stupid not as in like I morally disagree with it, but because I logically disagree with it. If if a if a movie of like fucking 11-year-olds twerking is gonna be rated TVMA, it's not gonna be child porn because if it's actual child porn, then it would be. How long do you think legitimate child porn that's being what? How would that last through the Netflix like approval process whenever they're getting ready to like archive it and stream it? It would not.
Well, what's the definition of porn?
Well, okay, then. Oh, that's a good question. If it's legitimate, like something that's like chargeable, it wouldn't even make it up to like the candidates for selection to be published by Netflix. Now you can go
And
start
at what
saying like,
point does a video of younger people
well,
become
okay, by
pedo?
definition, okay, let's look at the definition of pornography. Let's talk about the shit that no one else is willing to talk about. Okay, so oh well, Tucker
Be
takes me.
careful.
Okay, okay, all right, let's roll it back a little bit. Okay, pornography is defined as the depiction of erotic behavior intended to cause sexual excitement. And two, material such as books or photograph depicts erotic behavior as intended to cause sexual excitement. Three, the depiction of acts in a sensational manner to arouse a quick, intense emotional reaction. So, according to these dictionary definitions, it does not require explicit nudity, male or female, to be pornography. Apparently, like I don't know, like some ad, like a fucking ad for like women's sportswear of like chicks just like squatting and doing workouts, getting all sweaty and like shaking, subtly shaking their asses. If a company uses that as an intentions to attract male eyes to the product, apparently that counts as pornography because it's more. And apparently, the definition of pornography is now based upon intention, intended to cause sexual excitement. So, according to this definition, you could interpret like you go to a car show and there's like girls in bikinis standing next to the car to get more male eyes onto the car. That classifies as pornography now. So according to this definition, then yes, this fucking movie, this garbage ass movie, will be considered pornography if the directors had intentions of using it to, I don't know, arouse pedophiles to go like, little girls dancing, I me likey. If that were the case, then yes, this would be pornography. But if not, then according to the Merriam-Webster definition of pornography, no, this is not pornography anymore. Questionable, yes, very much so. Pornography, no, unless you can define otherwise with the intentions of the creators here. So, I don't know if that clarifies anything. People are going to call it, okay, it's a rhetorical device to call it pornography, the way I look at it. Because, first of all, like, if it's on Netflix, it's probably not porn. If it's I wouldn't classify like a sex scene in a movie, with adult actors, mind you. I don't classify a sex scene in a movie as pornography, even if it's intended to arouse its audience or intended to cause sexual excitement, quote unquote, because it's a movie. That's not the whole thing. If the movie's just nothing but sex scenes, then yeah, it probably would be pornography. In that case, it wouldn't be on Netflix; it would be on Pornhub. So, you know, it's rhetorical devices like these that are used by both groups, both the left and the right, to push their own agendas and to validate for people to say things that validate themselves. And I'm probably guilty of this too. Everybody's guilty of it to some degree, but never just because of that. That doesn't mean you should ignore it. Yeah. So here's another example of it. So another look at this Becky. If only that was Karen. That'll be only it can only get so accurate, huh? A movie about 11-year-olds twerking. It's rated TVMA. That's a whole basket of yikes. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's cringe. And when I first heard about it, I thought the same thing. Like, hold on. Is this just the West doing Western things again? Is this like another fucking Lactatia, little 11-year-old drag queens? But then I looked through it a little bit more. It's like, no, it's a bit more complicated than that. And now they're fucking petitioning it, but that's not gonna be shit because Netflix is just way too big. And yeah, um, another argument I see from this article is okay. Where was it? Where was it said earlier? Um, Apparently this is supposed to like okay. A couple of reviewers are saying that this movie is an allegory to child sexualization, just like how the Serbian film is supposedly an allegory for like political prosecution of Serbians. You remember that film, right? If you do, don't look it up. It's really fucked. It's all kinds of fucked up. It's nothing that's beneficiary to see. And I'm just thinking, it's a real fine, tight wire to walk to make a piece of literature or film or art that's supposed to be an allegory about something without becoming that something itself. You make an allegory about sexualization of children by sexualizing children. Like that's just kind of like a not quite sure what you're doing there. And it's just now I changed my mind. Okay, earlier I said like I don't care about this movie. Now I kind of feel bad for like the people who actually made the movie with like the right cover, the right with this. They tried to sell a movie with like this banner, and it just fucking blows up in their face because some dumbass on Netflix decided to use this as the picture. Now I kind of feel bad for them. Like they tried. Netflix apologized for the movie poster. Netflix apologized for the movie poster taking down the artwork that bothered many viewers. We're deeply sorry for the inappropriate artwork that we used for Cuties. It was not okay, nor was it representative of this French film. Oh, well, would you look at that? I don't know. In terms of PR, in terms of optics, it's too late. There's you can't recover from this. And yeah, Jesus
I remember
Christ.
seeing this thing on iFunny saying that news isn't news anymore. It's just about who can get the article or
Who
the
okay?
headline out the fastest.
Who can get the
Doesn't
biggest
matter. No,
outrage
it doesn't
mob?
matter what you say anymore. It doesn't matter what you're covering. As long as you're the first to get the story out, you're good.
Well, it's not just the first, but also who has the spiciest article. Like everything you read on the news, even fucking diet advice. You know how like I don't know if you ever observed this, but one week the news is like, "Oh my God, we were all wrong about keto diet. Low carb's the way to go." And then the next week they're like, "Oh, we were all wrong about low carb diets. Keto's the way to go." They're doing this because it keeps the clicks coming in, and the clicks is how the journals fucking fund themselves. They got to make money, okay. And let's also not, on the other hand, let's also not forget. Actually, on the same hand, let's also not forget how yellow journalism was something in the U.S. news journal that's been around long before fake news was even two words to be put together in the English language. Journalists doing their journalist bullshit have been around since the existence of journalism, and it doesn't even take journalism anymore. Now we're like going to Twitter where people are like, talking shit about stuff that they really honestly don't really seem to have too much of a grasp on. And since the average person is some dumbass who doesn't see anything beyond face value, that's how misinformation spreads. Because people are willing to believe it. Because they fall for rhetorical devices. Because they don't look at things past face value. So, I don't know. It just comes back to the same origin. The poison all comes back to the same root on this poison ivy bush or plant or whatever. whatever shitty ideology, whatever shitty analogy I'm gonna come up with. Yeah. Meanwhile, let's keep freaking out about COVID. Now that you're busy
All
being
right,
mad about it.
we need to
Oh my
we
god.
need to stop the video.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
getting
getting
too
carried
long.
away. Man, I thought I could get through this real fast, but I guess not. Oh well. It's a good whole hour of content. Talking about a lot of things. Anyway, any final thoughts on this?
No.
No? Alright. Well, in case there's anyone still watching, I just wanted to. My final thought on this is that do I want to watch it? No. I'm concerned about like the consequences of after it, the aftermath of this, like how censorship is going to change again. So, anyway, if you like this fucking dumpster fire of a video, be sure to apply firm pressure upon the like button. Subscribe to both my channel, Angry Vegan Cyclist 2.0, as well as Alcoholic Gaming. We both deserve your likes because the algorithm is fucking us. And thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again.
Okay.